Sri Lanka's first International Climate Change Forum convened at the Temple Trees under the patronage of President Ranil Wickremesinghe yesterday. The conference, which was attended by the Global Director for Environment at the World Bank, Valerie Hickey, United Nations Development Programme Resident Representative Asusa Kubota, ambassadors, high commissioners and other officials, concluded today. The first International Climate Change Forum comes in as Sri Lanka's latest effort made towards combating climate change and transitioning into a green economy. Speaking at the conference, President Wickremesinghe highlighted Sri Lanka's ambitious plans for environmental sustainability and economic growth.
We have to identify our potential. Everyone says Sri Lanka is small. Being small has an advantage. But we have a large dry zone and our population is only 22 million. So we are going to have excess green energy. Not merely solar, wind power, hydrogen, but is what we are now focusing on. And Sri Lanka at the moment do not have the expertise to make the plans. So we are reaching out to the multilateral development banks and to our bilateral partners to get that expertise to put together a new plan. So firstly, Sri Lanka economic strategy is to go for high growth, to see what we can raise commercially. I'd like to see most of the money is raised commercially. Secondly, to promote this change in Sri Lanka as well as in other countries, we have now committed ourselves to establishing the International Climate Change University. I would like this university to be an international stakeholder university, not a Sri Lankan university. We've already set apart 600 acres overlooking the Kotmale Reservoir for this university. Thirdly, Sri Lanka is building its capacity on climate finance. When we look at the scenario, the capacity on climate finance and the discussions are limited mainly to the north, to the multilaterals and a few of the larger voices such as China. Rest of us do not have that capacity. It is necessary to build up our capacity on climate financing. I put together the highest team possible, advisor on economic stabilization, the secretary to the Ministry of Finance, governor of the central bank and secretary to the Ministry of Environment, together with a group. Not me to look at Sri Lanka, but to be able to participate in the discussions that are taking place globally. Because this is the thing the global south lacks. We do not have that expertise, nor have we built it up in regard to climate finance. We have the whole issue of compensation, funding, loss and damage fund. And that is where the big fight will take place. Is it a narrow or a broad approach on this issue? The North will like to limit it to the islands that are under threat. The South wants to include all. I think the islands under threat is essential, but we have to at least include those parts outside the islands, in our areas or in the South and in the North, which are vulnerable. If you don't take the whole of the globe, at least take in the south, take the areas that are vulnerable. Let's start with that. And what is the contribution? We were going to double our 2019 contribution to 2025, which was going to be about 300 billion US and to about 500 by 2050. We are nowhere close to that. How are you going to find this? How are you going to raise it? Who's going to contribute? The fact is the money is there. In this year, the contribution to Ukraine and Israel, I think, would have met more than half the demand here. I am not saying not to give to Israel, or if the Americans say not to give to Ukraine, that is their decision. But it means there is also money available for the rest of the world. But that is not forthcoming. So this is the big issue. What are you going to do? Sri Lanka will certainly participate and express our views forcefully, but with the objective of making it a success and not to allow it to be broken up.